So we need to talk about the latest developments when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 4 and Monolith Soft's next major game. Now, I made videos on this talking about a potential new IP and what they could be doing. We've obviously seen that one photo that everyone's shown a million different times and everything, plus the new recruitment drive in terms of what Mr. Takahashi had to say. But I watched a pretty good video, not even pretty good, a great video from Luxon, who's one of the best Xenoblade content creators, one of the most respected in the community. And absolutely, I've changed a few different things, and I wanted to go over my thoughts on what Monolith Soft could be doing after watching that, because I think that there's some very good points that he brought up, and I'm going to have the video linked for you guys. Please make sure you check that out. But we're going to be talking about Monolith Soft's next major project, how it's probably going to be something Xenoblade Chronicles related, Xenoblade Chronicles 4, whatever the case is, and what they're going to be doing with that game. Because I have a little bit of an idea as someone who's been playing Monolith Soft titles for decades now at this point. But before we get into all that, what's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch and RPG videos first. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here, talking about just some of the recap of the news. So essentially, Luxon put out the video, and in the video, he basically says that, yeah, it's probably going to be a Xenoblade game or Xenoblade Chronicles 4, because he compared a lot of the previous recruitment drives that Monolith Soft has had and what it ultimately ended up being, which most of the time it was a Xenoblade game and like one time it was like a Zelda game. But this one obviously isn't going to be Zelda, because Takahashi stated himself this is going to be an RPG, that they're doing things very differently and new, and it's his own development staff, like the big team that actually works on their own games. So that's one thing that you know, that it's not going to be for like Splatoon or going to be for like Animal Crossing or something else that they work on. They work on a number of games when it comes to the totality all of Monolith Soft. Monolith Soft has multiple different teams in Japan. They all work on different Nintendo franchises, but this is going to be Takahashi Team 1 working on a brand new RPG. So I do feel that right there is a little bit of confusion in terms of what this could potentially be. That kind of clears up all of that. Now, when it comes down to it being a Xenoblade game or Xeno related, there's many things in that video that Luxon talked about, but I also wanted to echo some of the things that if you look overall at the sales numbers, at the, I would say, popularity at what they're doing at Monolith Soft, Xenoblade is by far the most popular thing Monolith Soft has ever done. If you look at the sales numbers for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, all the different DLCs and the other games outside of that, if you're looking at it in totality, pretty much Xenoblade has been the biggest thing from a sales perspective that they've ever done, and they probably don't want to lose any type of momentum with that. Now, could they create something brand new with a new name that is essentially just as popular? Yeah, they could, but you've already built up so much goodwill with that name. I do feel that they will call it Xenoblade something, Xenoblade Chronicles something, or Xeno something. It's going to keep that moniker, in my opinion, just based off of various different things that I saw in that video with Luxon, and looking at it from a practical standpoint. Also, if you look at what Monolith Soft said about circling back to Xenoblade, like they said that Xenoblade 3 was not the end of Xenoblade, that they are going to do another one, and I do feel that this might be that play for that. Now, the big thing with this, though, is that while it might be Xenoblade Chronicles or it might be Xenoblade something, that doesn't mean that it needs to play exactly like what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X. They've actually varied up a number of things from game to game, and really, if you're more of a casual fan, you might not notice it, but if you're a core fan of the Xenoblade franchise, you know that the games play pretty differently overall. They have a similarity with the auto battling and how you kind of activate your arts at certain times and the chain attacks. There are some similarities overall stylistically, but there's so many different things on an intrinsic fundamental level that can make you really love Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but not like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as much, or really love Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and maybe you don't like Xenoblade Chronicles 1 as much. And then you might even even love, for example, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Torn of the Golden Country, but not so much maybe the base version of Xenoblade 2. There's even enough differences there that there are some people that feel that way about it. And even for myself, I love Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's probably my favorite game in the series, but Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed to me even goes above and beyond what we saw with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the overall combat in the game. I mean, they streamline it. It just feels great to play. It's a smaller experience. I mean, there's so many different things that you can point to in Future Redeemed that they say, okay, they really nailed that, and they kind of cut back on what wasn't working in there and made what was working really, really good. So there's always different little things here and there. So I do feel that with this next game, I think that they are going to take it to a different style of combat altogether. Now, if you're looking at some of the trends that have been going on in RPGs, like I don't think Monolith Soft is going to follow anybody else's trends, but there's definitely been some things that they've kind of said, okay, we can take that and we can kind of put our own spin on it. Plus, there's only so many different ways you can make an RPG. But if you look at what's going on right now, you have a lot of this real-time plus turn-based combat. One of the most impressive looking games coming up is Atelier Yumiya. That game looks super cool, and because of the success that they had with the Atelier Ryza trilogy, they stated that, hey, we've been able to invest more money than they've ever been able to invest into an Atelier game. This is their biggest, most expensive Atelier game, and they did the smart thing is making sure that it can be on the base Nintendo Switch, even though it's coming out in 2025. Square Enix, but Atelier Yumiya, if you look at that game, has real-time plus turn-based open world exploration and combat that you can do right then and there. To me, that is a really, really good thing that they're doing, and that combat that they have is really cool because it gives you the sense of, okay, it's not just straight up old school turn-based, there's real-time elements, but then it also gives you the tactical edge that a turn-based game can give you that you simply can't do in an all-out action-based RPG. So I love the combination of ideas. I think that that game is going to turn out really well combat-wise, and I think it's going to review one of the better reviewing games for the Atelier series overall. Now, you can also do what a lot of games are doing as well, like The Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak, Daybreak 2, and Metaphor Refantazio, and they're doing an action and turn-based combat hybrid to where you start off with some action, you're hitting the enemy, you're doing different things. If the enemy's weaker, you can just finish them out right there. But then if the enemy's stronger, you can actually go from action to turn-based and get the jump on the enemy. So combat systems like that to me really seem to be like the next, I would say, generation or the next style, the evolution that we're seeing with turn-based combat, to where they add in that element of, yeah, you're moving around, because obviously before you enact a turn-based battle, you're moving around and maybe you even have like a preemptive strike, right? Well, how about you preemptive strike multiple different times and then head into a more serious battle? But if you're way stronger than the enemy, yeah, you can just finish them off right there on the screen. So I think that Atlas and I think that Koei Tecmo have some good stuff going on, and of course Falcom with what they're doing with The Legend of Heroes, and there could be some inspiration, and there could be Monolith Soft taking their own type of game that they have, right? They have like an MMO style kind of turn-based action RPG hybrid. It's a really weird mix that they have, and I think that they could take some of this stuff that you see with action and turn-based combat hybrids, some of the stuff that you see with real-time plus turn-based added in, and kind of put their own crazy spin on it in a brand new Xenoblade game, which, if you look at the history of what Monolith Soft has done from Xeno to Xeno game, Xenogears to Xenosaga, then to Xenoblade, all of them have very different combat systems overall. Some stuff that you can kind of link back and say, oh yeah, that's the same devs, but overall very different. So this could definitely be a similar thing that we're seeing here with Monolith Soft's new game, and I'm very excited to see what they do, because a lot of these RPG developers have been taking it to the next level with their games. Heck, even titles that came out a number of years ago, I just put 154 hours beating SMT5 Vengeance on the PlayStation 5, and even that, they added some cool stuff with the innate skills and some of the triple team attacks and different things that you can do with your demons, and it was a blast. It's an old school turn-based RPG, so it's very exciting to see what some of the best developers in the RPG space are doing going forward. Now, when it comes to story and all that, I'm not going to spoil anything if you haven't played Xenoblade. We still have a lot of people that talk to me on my live stream and say, hey, I haven't got into it yet, I want to get into it, you're convincing me to do so. And people that are in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 definitive edition right now, in 2, in 3, they're in Torna, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll say this. If it's Xenoblade Chronicles 4, for example, I expect there to be all new characters, new area, new everything, with those crazy, oh my gosh, ties back to previous characters. That's what I would expect, especially if you've beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. You know exactly what I'm talking about there. Now, if it's a new Xeno something or whatever the case is, just Xeno whatever, then I expect all new characters with super loose ties to previous games, to where you can say, oh yeah, that's something right there. Just like, once again, if you've played Future Redeemed, what happened there, and if you've played Xenogears, you kind of know that they're all kind of, you know, connected a bit, so I'd expect that. But if it's Xenoblade 4, I expect stronger ties, like crazy ties, where you're going to be able to instantly know. Whereas if it's Xeno something, it'll probably just be some loose ties here and there. So very excited to see what they're going to do with that from a story perspective. Now, Monolith Soft has been working on whatever this new game is with this recruitment drive for 2+ years. They've definitely been working on it since the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is that that game, it's probably been done since 2021. It launched in 2022, but it's probably been done in 2021 because information leaked out late 2021 about the plot, the characters, different things that were happening in that game. And Nintendo even moved the game up a number of months. So something tells me with that leak that happened in 2021, and with them moving the game up, it was pretty much done, and almost there being no post-launch patches to really address things, that game was just sitting there done for the most part overall. So they've been hard at work on that next game, on the next big Nintendo platform. And I guess we didn't talk about that, but this is definitely going to be a Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo Switch successor, whatever the system is going to be called. It's definitely going to be a game on that system and not on the Nintendo Switch, as Monolith Soft has always been the, I would say, front runner. They've always been the big, okay, hey, this is what you can do in a type of big open world RPG or open-ended game to really show off that new system. They did it with the Wii, they did it with the Wii U, they did it with the Switch. I mean, they've done it multiple times, so I fully expect them to be right there near the launch, within a year or so of the new system's launch. So when could that be? Well, it looks like 2025 will be when the Nintendo Switch successor will be launching. So I'm guessing that we will see something from this game sometime in 2025 at the earliest. Now, they could wait. Nintendo has a lot of different games that I know that they've been working on. We do know that there's probably going to be a big brand new Mario Kart early. There's probably going to be a big 3D Mario right there at launch. So what they did with the Switch, they had Zelda, they had Mario, and they had Xenoblade all there in the first year. I would expect them to probably show off Xeno, but I don't think it's going to be like an early launch title or anything like that. I'm expecting it to probably be 2025 late or 2026. That's probably more likely, but once again, we have to wait and see. I would give them a good maybe 4 years or so of development. So if they started in 2022, it definitely seems like 2026 would be when they'd be ready to go with this game. But very exciting overall to see Monolith Soft talking about the recruitment, Monolith Soft getting ready. And it's very exciting because they, out of all of Nintendo's teams, could probably use that big new hardware more than anything, considering the type of games that they make. I mean, clearly Zelda and Mario and other titles could absolutely use that extra horsepower, but Monolith Soft might be the most exciting to see what they can do with this next system coming up on all fronts. So I think it's going to be super cool. But what are your thoughts overall with what I had to say with Monolith Soft's next major game, Xenoblade Chronicles 4? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.